So I wanted to break down what vCloud Automation Center is and what it's not. So first of all, at its heart, vCloud Automation Center provides IT as a service. It provides a way to consume infrastructure components, so compute, storage, networking, in a way that's pretty different from than what's traditionally been done. So if you think about it, right, you get a request in that says, "Hey, I need a new web server." Well, think about what you do to actually provision that web server. And a lot of times when users request this, they don't think about all that happens in the background, right? You as a VMware administrator, you know all too well the complexities behind it. But think about it. So you request some storage, or you provision some storage from maybe a SAN or a shared data store. You allocate some compute resources and memory resources from a cluster of servers that you have. You provision some networking items, whether it's ports or VLANs or firewall rules. You install an operating system, right? So you maybe put down Windows or Linux and put your licensing on there. And then you install some customizations like an agent, or you make some application changes, right? There's a lot that goes into when someone says, "I need a web server," that they really don't even realize. So the goal of vCloud Automation Center is to even abstract that from you as the administrator to automate and orchestrate a lot of these repeatable processes. So instead of someone coming to you and saying, "I need these compute resources for a web server," or "I need this amount of memory or storage," they can actually consume it themselves through this IT as a service model. So whether it's logging into a self-service portal and saying, "I need a web server," having all those pieces in the background do that in an automated fashion and then present the VM back to them, or they can also consume resources, like maybe a shared storage drive. They can request, "I need 100 gigs of, NAS space or of a file share for Windows." So it really shifts the focus from very IT or administrator driven to user driven, being able to request those attributes. Now, I mentioned it already, but you get a centralized self-service catalog. So through vCloud Automation Center, you get this service catalog that you can present to your users. So it's multi-tenant. So me as maybe an administrator, I log in and I see in one view. Someone from finance logs in, they see a different view. A developer logs in and they see another different view. It's all customized based on what they need to do and the types of resources they can consume. So this service catalog is really the backbone for everything that we're going to do, because that's where we define all of our items. And that's really the user-facing portion of this as well, to where that actually all the work and all the users come into to request all their virtual machines or their workloads. So vCAC is also a broker. It's a broker of services. If you think about it, as it actually goes and does a lot of work with other components. So vCloud Automation Center and vCenter Orchestrator are married together very nicely. So they really go hand in hand. And it ends up being this broker of services. So me as a user, I go in and I don't really care where this service exists, right? So I say, I just know that I need a web server. Maybe that web server gets deployed on my private cloud infrastructure on something like a vSphere deployment. Maybe it gets deployed on a public cloud provider like Amazon or like VMware. I, as a user, I really don't have to know any of that, but vCloud Automation Center does all the heavy lifting, and it brokers this communication and this provisioning out to all the different sources it has access to. Now, again, this goes along with the self-service catalog, but it provides a portal. A portal for not only requesting items, but for managing items that you already have. Maybe I need to go in and edit the resources on a machine I provisioned, or create a backup, or look at the different, reporting options and costing mechanisms. So it provides this single portal that is really customized or presents you a different view based on who you are. And that's the real power of it. You're also getting an approval workflow engine. So not only can we have users coming in requesting services, everything being automated and provisioned, but we also have a rich approval workflow, meaning when me as a user, I request something. Maybe as a user, I come in and I request a VM that has something like gig of RAM, one CPU. That's nothing out of the ordinary. That's something I just want to be able to have the user click on and it's good to go. But maybe I have a developer and he comes in and says, "Oh, I need 16 gigs of RAM and 4 CPUs and a terabyte of storage," and you say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Do you really need that?" that's where the approval workflow comes in. So if they request something, you can set gates basically. So you say under this, just let it go through. If it's over this, so if the criteria is over what I've specified as kind of a normal workload, it then can send off an email to maybe that developer's manager, or maybe you as the IT administrator saying, hey, Joe Smith, they requested this VM with this amount of traits or this workload with these stats. Do you want to approve this? Do you allow it to go through, or do you want to deny this, or do you want to have them go back and edit it and scale it back a little bit and say, maybe you don't need 16 gigs, maybe you want to edit that down to 8, and then we can agree on, that's the way to go. So the approval workflow engine is really powerful in the way it allows you to create kind of these different gates or different areas where these services can be self-provisioned, or you might need approvals again for those larger items.